Today, as we are pretty much finishing game week 30 of the English Premier League, I want to talk to everybody about the top four race, the Premier League champions-elect, as well as relegation. Let's start off with the champions-elect. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a Manchester City fan, so I'm in a happy space. We're 14 points ahead of Manchester United, so... That said, everybody, just wanted to say, honestly, credit to Manchester City for their form this year. That 21-game win streak essentially put the league, beyond doubt, I believe. But also, to a degree, I think the inconsistent form of the teams below them have also put them in that position. Granted, a 21-game win streak in any season would most likely, see that team crowned champions. I mean, that's just kind of goes without saying. But the teams who are below them, I mean, Manchester United, Leicester, currently West Ham in fourth, shocker, and we'll come back to that in a minute, followed by Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Everton in eighth. All of them could be top four teams. All of them could have fought for the title this year based on the quality of their teams, based on the quality of their coaches, and so on. But they've all been inconsistent throughout the season, unfortunately. Let's start off with the race for the top four. Our current top four is City, who's most likely going to win the title, 14 points ahead with 8 games left. And then you have Manchester United, Leicester, West Ham, which, again, totally shocked. I had them nowhere near the top four in my preseason prediction, but, sometimes we make mistakes. That said, Manchester United, let's start there. United are a weird team this season. Honestly, similar to seasons past as well. They're inconsistent. They'll play great against teams, like Man City. They beat us. They ended Man City's 21-game win streak, in a derby win where they were good value for their win. They won 2-0. City had opportunities, but honestly, United deserved the win. They'll play games like that where you're like, wow, okay, that was, mature, consistent, solid performance, where you had players all over the pitch playing for the badge, which, unfortunately with United, doesn't happen every game. I mean, they'll have games where this last game that they just finished playing against Brighton, who are probably the most unlucky team in the Premier League this year in terms of their league position, 16th place, I believe, currently. But the way they play, they should be top half. I mean, honestly. Where they went behind Brighton, early on and then came back and won. United has actually won more points this season, 25 points from losing positions, which is 9 better than Leicester, who are in second place in that same statistic. But that essentially encapsulates their entire season, is they'll play crappy against some team that they should easily dominate and win against, and then dominate against teams that, in reality, who are on a 21-game win streak, who they should lose to. But that essentially is their season. That's how they've been for the last few seasons, and honestly, the inconsistency that has racked them since Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2013. So for me, I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind United's demise from where they were with Sir Alex Ferguson winning the title in his last season, and then appointments of multiple managers who didn't fit the system or didn't try to put a system in that didn't fit the team. Horrible mismanagement by the Glazers and Ed Woodward. I don't want to even go into that because that's an entire video by itself. But yeah, United essentially have been kind of just like a wave of inconsistency for years, and this year is no different. Do I think they deserve to be second in the league currently? Do I think the second best team in England right now? No, I don't. I think that, in my opinion, they deserve a top four spot for sure. I think that they've been consistent enough to be in the top four. In terms of performances, I think Leicester, who are currently in third, are the second best team in England as of right now this season. So let's talk about Leicester. Currently in third place, 4 points behind Manchester United. Currently, last game lost to Man City, 2-0. City dominated the game, deserved to win the game. That is what that is. But what I would say about that, Leicester, basically they spanked Manchester City 5-2 in the second game of the season, which kind of woke City up from their slumber a little bit, and then things went on from there. But Leicester have been a very good team, consistent all year. I think To me, Brendan Rodgers, their coach, their manager, is the manager of the season, based on the fact that what he has done with that squad, who have a ton of talented players, but nowhere near the wage bill or essential squad depth of any of the traditional Big Six. To me, he's done a phenomenal job, and I think he doesn't get as much credit for the job he did at Liverpool before he left on, let's just say, acrimonious terms, and joined Celtic up in Scotland, where he did a phenomenal job, won 3 titles in a row, won a treble twice, I believe. So for me, I think he's actually a very underrated manager. I think, honestly, he's currently being linked with the Tottenham job should Tottenham decide to sack Jose Mourinho, which I'm not going to whine or cry for that guy, but, either way, I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he's done an amazing job with that squad. I think they've performed admirably all season. I feel bad for them. They got knocked out of the Europa League. I think they could have gone far, but that was unfortunate for them. I mean, they lost a game they probably shouldn't have, but those things happen in knockout tournaments, and that hasn't derailed their season domestically at all. They, in fact, are the only team all season who have been in the top 4 all season. Have not drifted from the top 4 once. So to me, that tells you that they have this consistency level that no other team in the Premier League has. I mean, City, in all honesty, started off terribly slow. Manchester City, not Leicester City. Manchester City started off terribly slow and were, I believe, in 11th place when they started their 21-game win streak, and then just literally have decimated the field since then. For me, Leicester are the second best team in England, and you have to give credit to their squad, who have some incredible performers. Jamie Vardy continues to defy belief, basically. He's 33, he looks like he's 25, and runs like he's 18. It's ridiculous, that guy. And talk about a late bloomer. He has over 100 Premier League goals, and he didn't start in the Premier League until he was 29. So credit to him, truly. Credit to Jamie Vardy for what he has done. That said, Jamie Vardy, phenomenal this year again. Harvey Barnes stepping up in his place when Jamie Vardy was injured, and Kelechi Iheanacho have both been phenomenal. And credit to Kelechi Iheanacho. I loved him when he was at Man City. Sad to see him go. It took him a little while to get going at Leicester, but he's finally finding his feet. And credit to him for just putting his head down and moving forward and getting to the point where he is right now. And I think he will blossom at Leicester. I think he's in a good spot for where his development needs to be, especially because he's still a young player. I think he's 23 maybe. So Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, phenomenal player in the Championship. A lot of people didn't think that he would be able to step up, when he joined Leicester 2 seasons ago, and he's been phenomenal. He's been an excellent player, creative, attacking flair, earned himself an England call-up, has been in the England squad, multiple times now, multiple caps. In reality, he's an excellent player. Yuri Tillemans, one of the most underrated midfielders in Europe, period. Wilfred Ndidi, phenomenal player who could rival N'Golo Kante for one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, if not the world. He's an excellent player as well. The resurgence of Johnny Evans, former Manchester United player who was plucked from West Brom after they got relegated 2 years ago. And Brendan Rodgers has rekindled him and made him into a solid center back who's paired well with whoever he's paired with. Wesley Fofana, who's this 19-year-old kid from France who barely had a full season's worth of professional experience when Leicester, smartly as they do so frequently, scouted him and signed him, and he's been phenomenal this season as well. Another underrated player. Essentially, what I'm trying to say about Leicester is they have a ton of players who are not household names. It really wouldn't be household names unless you're an avid follower of the sport, of the Premier League. And Brendan Rodgers, I think, through his management, especially man management, has morphed them into a team that fights for each other, that is truly a team, which is why they are in the position they are, and I think can continue to fight for titles in the future with the big boys, as the English media likes to call them, the traditional Big Six. But Leicester deserved their spot at the table. Like they are the 2015-16 champions, which was a shocker to everybody. And there were reasons behind that season's shock. But they deserved it that year, and they've stuck with it and continuously progressed every year since then. And I think that they're going to be in the top 6, top 4 every year for a while, because they have incredible scouting. They have great management, a phenomenal board. They really are to me, they are a family, which is not something that you really think of when you think of a big club in England, really, or in general. So to me, I think that they're run very well. I think they will continue to benefit from that, especially their players. And the development of their players will continue to be outstanding, especially under the management of Brendan Rodgers as long as he stays. Which now brings me to the team currently in the top 4 as of today's win over Wolves, West Ham. Let's backtrack for a second there. West Ham, 4th place. I mean, to me, in all honesty, my preseason prediction, I had them like 15th or 16th or something like that. I'm barely avoiding relegation, simply because of the fact that they've been so horribly mismanaged by their board. Can't remember exactly. I want to say it's David Sullivan. Either way, their board has been terrible for years on end. Terrible management. Honestly, when they reappointed David Moyes, I was kind of like, what are you guys doing? I mean, seriously, like, what is that? Like, talk about like the most uninspiring, management pick ever. But, and I sit here shocked. He's actually done a phenomenal job with the team. I mean, what I would say is they actually had a very talented squad under Manuel Pellegrini, who also, I loved when he coached Man City. But for whatever reason, Pellegrini was unable to essentially make a cohesive unit of their team. And they just would go similarly to Manchester United, like great win, horrible loss, great win, horrible loss, draw. I mean, just very inconsistent. And whatever David Moyes has done, and I don't know, it seems to me they have more of a fighting spirit, which is not something that I would necessarily, think of when I think of David Moyes in his management style. But he's made them into a cohesive unit. He has great balance in the team. He's got certain players firing on all cylinders. This is one of the biggest shocks for me, but his inspired mid-season loan signing of Jesse Lingard from Manchester United has actually done wonders, because he has been reinvigorated as a player. He's, I think, won Player of the Month last season. He had 4 goals and 3 assists, I believe. Just truly was on fire last month, and today played a phenomenal game against Wolves, had a goal and an assist. I mean, to me, I still feel he's a very overrated player. I don't think he's Manchester United quality, but to me, I really think that he has found a niche for himself at West Ham. He's actually able to play on a consistent basis because David Moyes knows him from his time at Manchester United as coach, but also, he has trust in him, which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not, which is fine. That's his prerogative as Manchester United manager. But I think, in all honesty, if Jesse Lingard was smart, I believe is coming into his last year of his contract in the summer. If I was him, I would leave Manchester United, go to West Ham, sign permanently, enjoy the peak years of your career. You're 28, man. Like, seriously, go and enjoy this time and enjoy your football. You clearly are at West Ham. You've built a relationship, with the players that you've been playing with for the last couple of months. Go with it. Seriously. Like, you're not going to play at Manchester United. You're not. They're talking about, extending your contract, for a few years, which, in all honesty, to me is yet another horrible decision by the Manchester United board, if that is the case. But leave, man. Seriously, you are enjoying your football. You can see it in the way you're playing right now, man. Just go to West Ham and spark your career. back into life. Seriously, like, you're doing a great job right now on loan, and kudos and credit to you, man. But yeah, honestly, David Moyes, his team are in 4th place, West Ham. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think, for me, I don't know if they're going to maintain that form enough to stay in 4th place. I think they will probably finish in the Europa League spots, though. I do think they'll finish in 6th, at least in 6th this season, or maybe 7th, because of the form, only because of the form of the teams that are right behind them on their tail. So for me, I think the top 4 is a fight. I mean, I think United will probably finish 2nd, or it'll be Leicester. It'll be a very tight fight between those two. I mean, currently it's 4 points between United and Leicester. They both have 8 games left. They both have actually pretty difficult schedules for the rest of the season. That's a tough one for me. I think it's going to be Man City is the Premier League champions, period. That's not going to change. I'm going to go with my top 4. It's going to be United in 2nd by a fair distance from Manchester City. Leicester right there behind them, but staying in that top 4. And then I'm going to push West Ham out of the top 4, even though they're playing out of their heads right now and doing great. I mean, again, kudos to them for, I think, shocking every pundit in England, but also anybody who's just an avid follower of the Premier League for being where they are at. But I'm going to say my team in 4th place is probably going to have to be Chelsea, actually. Like, Chelsea are currently in 5th, and we'll get to them right now. Because I think they're going to nose out, edge out both Spurs and Liverpool, who are right there. I think Liverpool will finish in 5th. I think West Ham will finish 6th. I think Spurs will be 7th. And Everton will finish right where they're at 8th right now, which will be right outside of the European qualifications, and that's just because of their inconsistent form lately. Even though I love Carlo Ancelotti, phenomenal coach, and their team is actually a very good team, I just think that they've been too inconsistent and have too many deficiencies in the defensive department to make that European push. So to me, top 4, City, United, Leicester, Chelsea. Chelsea currently in 5th. Let's talk about them for half a second. Frank Lampard, Chelsea legend, started the season well with Chelsea, and then things kind of just fell off for a while. Inconsistent form, poor tactics. I think, honestly, just his lack of top level management. I mean, he'd only been a coach at Derby for a year before they decided to bring him over. To me, it was kind of like a nostalgic choice, similar to the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decision at Manchester United, although that's turned out relatively well for them. I feel bad for Frank Lampard. I think he does have a good career in management ahead of him. I think this was a big learning curve for him, and I think that he will bounce back, so good luck, Frank, That said, the appointment of Thomas Tuchel, formerly of Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain, inspired signing, great manager, somebody who I've had a lot of respect for many, many years. I mean, he essentially just went on a 14-game undefeated streak to start off your managerial career at Chelsea, which helped bump you guys from the inconsistent level of, I think you were in 8th place when he took over to currently 5th, but 4th up until West Ham went earlier today. I think, honestly, yeah. I mean, you've essentially he's instilled a defensive resiliency in them, bar the shocking 5-2 loss you guys just had against West Brom, which I don't even know where that came from. But in all honesty, Chelsea, I think you guys are going to probably finish top 4. You guys are a very talented squad. He's starting to get, a tune out of some of the players that were underperforming severely under Frank Lampard. I mean, you guys spent £225 million over the summer on 6 players, so to not finish in the top 4 would kind of be sacrilegious, I'm just saying. So, that said, yeah, I think honestly you'll finish top 4. Simply because of the form that you have under Thomas Tuchel, but also, you're starting to find that groove and team cohesiveness that was lacking under Frank Lampard. So yeah, I think next year will be a better season for you all. I think you guys will fight harder in that, title race. But I think this year 4th place is about as good as Chelsea's going to get. And then after that, you have Spurs and Liverpool. Spurs, we'll just go to you guys real quick. I mean, let's just be honest, you're kind of in like season 3 Jose Mourinho, problems in season 2 of Jose Mourinho. Basically Jose Mourinho, I don't even know, man. He was a phenomenal man manager and coach for years. I think you're past your prime, buddy. I mean, maybe it's time to take like a sabbatical and, I don't know, like find your head or something. Because, I just saw this quote about, that some reporter said to you yesterday about like, well, you used to be able to take a lead and then hold on, what happened? And your response, Jose, was same coach, different players. Ouch, dude. Like, way to totally throw your entire team under the bus. I mean, yeah. I mean, did they underperform? And did you guys lose a lead, a 2-goal lead? Yeah, you did. Has that happened all season? Yeah. That's what a manager's for. Rectifying those mistakes in the players. So, yeah, same coach, same issues. You had the same problem in Manchester United, and then you blew up, and it left bad. What's about to happen at Spurs? Same thing, as usual. You've been fired from like your last 4 jobs, dude. Like, seriously, time to take a break. Refine yourself. Maybe go into like international team management or something, but I think your club management, is over, buddy. Like, really, just be done. That said, Spurs, I mean, you'll probably finish somewhere in the Europa League qualifying area, but I mean, you're just not good enough for top 4, period. Liverpool, I have friends who are Liverpool supporters, and as a Man City fan, obviously, I'm glad to regain our title from you guys that we lost so poorly last season. That said, I feel for you guys. I do. I mean, your season this season is reminiscent of ours last season, where we lost some significant players to long-term injuries, and that drastically affected our ability to defend the title. The loss of Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Joel Matip, Henderson, Fabinho, Alisson at times. I mean, essentially, like, your core of your team throughout the season for extended periods, off and on, just the inconsistency that, stop, start, get, of everything at all. To mount a solid title defense in that situation, that environment, you just can't. And I feel bad for you all that you've had such a poor title defense, but I think nobody could discredit you for lack of effort. I mean, you guys have tried all season. It's just been so hard to maintain a push with 30 different center back pairings in 31 games or whatever. I mean, I feel bad for you. I do. I think next year, when people are healthy, when you have Virgil van Dijk back, who essentially is your rock, back in the center of defense, maybe with some couple of inspired signings and letting some French players go, you guys will be right back in the title hunt. I mean, Liverpool's a phenomenal team, phenomenally coached by Jurgen Klopp, who I have an enormous amount of respect for. But yeah, this season has just been tough for you guys. Currently, you sit 3 points off from the top 4. I mean, I could easily see you in not Chelsea in that final top 4 spot. I mean, in reality, to me, it's either you or Liverpool or Chelsea in that 4th spot. I think currently it'll be Chelsea, then you guys in 5th. But it could easily be flipped, and I wouldn't be in any way surprised. I mean, you guys have a little bit of momentum. That 3-0 win over Arsenal at the weekend, I mean, dominant in every way. I mean, Arsenal were abject. I mean, just disturbingly poor. But you guys were, I want to say back to your best, but you had a flow about you, you had an understanding about your play. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's been incredibly inconsistent this season, was actually on top form. I think in all honesty, like Liverpool, you have a phenomenal team. Once everybody is healthy, you guys will be a team to reckon with next season. That said, we didn't really get into the relegation talk today, but top 4 as I predict: City, United, Leicester. Currently predicting Chelsea could be Liverpool, and then Europa League will get in. We talked about that. I'd say probably anybody from Chelsea to West Ham, then bringing on Spurs and Everton and so on down from there. We'll talk about relegation at another time, but if you liked my ramble today, again, my name is Adam. This is One Man's Perspective. Feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, feel free to hit me up and let me know what your thoughts are. Think if I'm totally wrong, think if I'm talking out my ass, whatever. I'm totally open to any conversation, any discussion. Just hit me up. Love to hear from y'all. Again, Adam, One Man's Perspective. Talk to you next time.